Record.
Hi guys, Mike Hege with Pride More Properties. I'm giving you guys a sneak peek today of buying a home in today's current marketplace, as well as a sneak peek in the MLS, the multiple listing service where we go to ultimately list all the properties for sale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch and we're going to switch the screen, and we're going to walk through a little bit of what ultimately is going on out there. So I'm sharing a little bit of this. This is the Market Watch report that I look at daily, and the real estate business, if you will. And ultimately, you can see there are 7 properties that are coming soon. As of this morning, 47 new listings. 4 properties on the market this morning increased in their price. 31 decreased. Several came back on the market. Potentially appraisal issue or inspection issue. Maybe it came back for a variety of reasons. And we have some went off the market, some ultimately went under contract between this morning, withdrawn, and then ultimately, check this out, 82 sold as of 9 o'clock this morning when our market opened up. So I just wanted to point that out because it's critical to share that things are still moving at the time of this recording. And ultimately wanted to kind of walk through a couple slides that I put together just to make sure we are, helping folks fully understand. Right now, there's a lot of buzz out there about a recession, and ultimately a recession is currently underway. There are all the bears out there that are ultimately saying that is true. We still feel strong that there'll be a V-shaped rebound effect once we get past the current climate of the COVID-19 virus. It's affecting us all so greatly. But ultimately, recession does not mean a housing crisis. So home prices, as you can see here, have appreciated 3 of the last 5 recessions, 1980, 1981, 2001. And 2008, it was obviously a very unique year from the standpoint of just a variety of reasons of why it ended up affecting the housing market. Subprime lending, no doc loans. Right now, the Fed's been very proactive at the time of shooting this video. And, we still feel like that the housing market is very strong. Obviously, people can't work and there's no income. That affects their lending capacity. But that is something that, we're all factoring in. The dream of becoming a homeowner is still a real thing. It's one of those things where ultimately, what you can do to keep your dream alive. The very first thing in general is getting pre-approved. Ultimately, that's just something that's a baseline to talk with a lender, understand what your credit score looks like, what your capacity for payment schedules, et cetera. Virtually connecting. That's what we're doing now. We're scheduling these Zoom calls that we're on right now to talk with you about your goals and dreams. Right now is a great time to look at any down payment assistance programs that still may be available. Also, market research as it relates to neighborhoods that you might want to live in. And ultimately viewing listings online, using virtual tours and home tour videos to really kind of dig deep about what's available in the marketplace right now, because there are properties, as we mentioned, still coming on the market. There's 47 as of this morning. So there is inventory. It may be somewhat limited, but we are finding that sellers right now in this current climate are a little more willing to price the home more in line with a fair market value, perhaps in some instances still getting concessions like buyer paid closing costs or home warranties or personal property like a fridge, washer and dryer being as a part of the deal. So those are all factors that you might want to consider as you're making your decision ultimately to buy. The process is pretty straightforward. I think one of those things that you want to factor in is saving for your down payment is never a bad thing. It's not going to go out of style for any time period. Knowing your credit score, of course, connecting with us as a trusted real estate professional, getting pre-approved, finding a home. Once you make an offer to closing, there's several steps that are more than just these 5 that are listed here. We broke them down as making an offer, home inspection, having the property appraised, closing the sale, and moving in and getting the keys. There's a lot more to it, but in simplified terms, this gives you kind of a general outline. So take a picture of that, save my number. It'll be listed at the bottom of the initial thumbnail as well as in the text of the comments below. Also subscribe to our channel if you can. We'd love to continue to put out this content and videos and make sure that we're providing value to you in the marketplace. Thanks so much for watching again. Ultimately, buying home, there is a lot of lingo that goes on behind the scenes. So do you know what those lingos are? Do you know what that is? An appraisal is a professional analysis used to estimate the home's value. It's a necessary step. However, it is an opinion of value. It's not necessarily deemed to be market value or the tax value. You'll hear different valuations that are tossed out there in terms of the lingo. Closing costs. You do want to check with your lender to make sure you get a complete breakdown of closing cost items and what that looks like. But ultimately, these are the fees used to complete the real estate transaction, such as the mortgage, the attorney. All of those items are rolled into closing costs, and you can have the seller pay for them and roll it into the part of the deal. Obviously, you're lessening the price that you'd be willing to pay because it's the seller. They're looking at price minus the concessions equals net, their net offer. Or traditionally, buyers take care of their own closing costs, meaning paid for out of pocket in addition to their cash needed to close, factoring in that as part of their ratio. The third option a lot of people don't know about is a lender can actually pay for closing costs. However, if they do that, you can expect a higher interest rate or some extra cost there. But that is one way to save and roll it into the loan, if you will. Credit score, down payments, and a lot of other items here. The whole goal for us is we come from a place of a heart of a teacher. We start with a buyer consultation that we do virtually, and then we roll into from that discovery call and that process into virtually looking at homes together, which we'll get a little bit of that today in terms of what's in the marketplace. And then ultimately help folks through that process, step by step, guided through the process. So the whole goal is to find a home that you're happy with, you're not overpaying for, and that you cherish for many years to come, and it's a great investment overall. So that is some of the lingo. A little bit about, this is our buyer guide. You can find this is for the spring 2020 edition. You can find this on my website, www.mikehege.com. There's a link down below. So take a look at that and make sure to subscribe to the channel, but also if you can, go to that website and you'll have a buyer guide there available. So all this information will be there and listed for you. But ultimately, there's so many things there. But buying a home is still a phenomenal investment. Most people would consider equity rich and as part of their net worth related to real estate and real estate holdings, particularly their primary residence. So if you're in the cycle of renting, you are going to pay to live somewhere, whether it be sharing a room or whether it be in your own apartment. But either way, you're going to have to pay to stay where you're at unless you're living with family. And at some point, the motivation will be very high to move out of that situation into your own space. But a long time, your housing costs to work for you, your dollars to work for you, and that's what it lists here in terms of home ownership. Obviously, mortgage interest rates have been historically low. They've dipped, so low from an historical perspective. So something that to really consider as you're making, making that opportunity for you and your family as part of a reality. But bottom line, in the end, investing in your family is a win. Investing in yourself is a win. Average rental prices continue to go up, so locking in where you're going to stay is a good thing. I'm just kind of scrolling through really quick just to know, what is selling and where. And ultimately, your purchasing power. This is an important detail that if interest rates continue to go down, it's going to decrease your monthly obligation as it relates to the principal and interest portion of your mortgage payment. So, that's a good thing to consider. We talked about rising rental rates briefly, but they are trending upward, and something that, you might consider. If you can lock into a fixed rate, it's going to help your monthly fixed costs. We talked about some of the lingo, and ultimately, our job is to be in full transparency, helping you through the process to purchase your home where you feel comfortable and you feel like it's a great return on investment for the long term for you and your family. And that's where we're here to help. We have the ultimately service mindset, and our goal is to make home ownership a reality. So please send me a direct message or following up, and I'm happy to help in any way. So these are a couple myth busters that I just wanted to point out. A lot of people think I need 20% down. The answer is you do not. There are lots of programs out there at 3% down payment programs. There are low cost down payment assistance options out there that are still available. So they're limited supply. And as always, it depends on income cap threshold as well as geographical locations and if there's a surplus of funds from that particular fund. So you do not need 20% down. FHA is one of the most common loans in North America, and it's as little as 3.5% down payment. So you need a 780 FICO score or better. Ultimately, a lot of people do not realize that over 50% of the approved loans in the latest report that were approved and closed were below 750, over half. So consider, now I would say that these brackets here are less likely and considered more risky, more higher interest rates. A lot of banks right now with the current climate and the overlays and the mortgage-backed securities for a different video, but ultimately they're, for a variety of reasons, are putting the brakes on lower interest rates, lower credit scores in this category. However, it is still possible to get a home loan under 750 in this range. So bottom line is, don't let those myths kind of keep you from having those preliminary conversations. So there's a couple of tips there that we will not go over in this video. But ultimately, just know that this is a resource for you, and we've put this together so that, our job is to help make sure that you understand today's real estate pricing, all the disclosures and contracts, of course, negotiations and experience, bringing our many, many years of experience to you and putting that to work for you. Ultimately, again, keep in mind, I'm here. This is my contact info. You've got my phone number right there. So, give me a call or text me at this number, and I will be happy to help anytime, seriously. All right, so without any further ado, we did talk about going into the back end of our MLS system. This is Canopy Real Estate, MLS rather, is our local MLS provider. Wanted to share that you've got coming soon no-show. It's a behind the scenes look at only realtors can see this coming soon no-show. There are some IDX portals out there, and IDX Internet Data Exchange means that it feeds into places like Realtor.com and Zillow and other places that are consumer-facing websites from this system. Some platforms do recognize coming soon no-show. They are pushed out in a few select places you can find that. The Carolina MLS, carolinahome.com, you can see this status as well. So anywho, just want to make sure that you knew that we have got these different statuses here: under contract show, under contract no show. These mean that you can find a property that's under contract, they've accepted a contract, but is not yet closed, and they're either allowing showings or they are not, as in show or no show. So for the purpose of finding out in the marketplace, normally coming soon or active is really what we're going to focus on for today. If you decided you don't want any double wide, triple wide, modular, patio homes, we can exclude that. We can also, only search for that. So there's the haves or the have-nots here. And ultimately, if we started looking at the 5,000 plus matches, if I type in just Charlotte, North Carolina, just so you know, this default is 224 matches here. And if we type in under 300,000, it drops it to 397. If we go from 300 to 500, there's 401 active listings. If we go 500 to 750, it takes you to 158. And if we take you to 750 on up, it takes you to a total of 284 matches in the entire MLS system. So there are a lot of options there that we can filter out for someone in terms of acreage, or year built, heated living area, or gross square footage that's heated. We can search that way. So there's a lot of options here. And one thing I wanted to point out is that we do have the capability of looking for special conditions. These are estate sales, or foreclosures, short sales, VA loans. So these are all possibilities in terms of special conditions that are very unique. So all that to say, a couple things to just denote. We've got these phenomenal resources here, and ultimately, jumping back on here so you can just kind of give you the perspective that MLS is where realtors go to put in the listings, as I mentioned, and they feed out to those places, the different portals out there, consumer-facing portals. We do a lot of work behind the scenes prior to going on the market. We have the capability of mailing out letters in a general geographic neighborhood if a buyer really nailed down that street or that area that they want to be in. Our goal and mission is to make sure the home buying experience is positive, but also we work and live on the 3 and 30 rule. The 3 and 30 rule basically says that we want to work hard for you so that we build the trust, and ultimately you refer us, hopefully in your lifespan, of 3 different people. And ultimately the 30 rule says we did a terrible job for you. Think about the service providers in your own life as you're watching this video that did a terrible job. Those you probably tell about 30 people. So we really do not want that. We want a positive reputation out there, and we're always happy to help. So again, without any further ado, I'm grateful that you watched this video. Please subscribe. The link is down below again. And I'm Mike Hege with PreApproved Properties, and hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.